Well folks, welcome back to the workshop. Today we've got a bit of a bigger machine, and today we've got a big Hiretech floor sander on for repair. We're going to see if we can get this thing fixed up. Give a wee test here first to show you what's wrong, and then we'll see if we can get it running right. Now I'm only going to give this a wee short burst because there's no sanding sheet on the drum. I don't want to risk the rubber bit of the drum hitting the floor. It's a bit awkward to do this while holding the phone too. So I'll just give it a quick wee run here just to show you the problem. Well, the bearings are free enough anyway. On and on and on and on. Might stick on a wee bit of sandpaper onto this just to keep that base good. But that's the problem. She's sparking. Now, I've actually already had this on. I was doing a wee short video on it because it was only a wee quick fix. Somebody actually yanked the lead out of this thing. So I have all this here changed. The grommet and everything got onto the lead, and that's all rewired in. And I've actually glued this cover back together as well with a bit of super glue because that was cracked and all taped on with duct tape. I've already fixed that, and then once I got her up and running then seen she was sparking, so had to order parts for it. I've no brushes for these old girls, but you can get them handy enough. So that's what we're going to do for this here. We're going to how to replace the brushes on the Hiretech HT8-1 floor sander, and because I was ordering the brushes I actually just ordered this too, so we'll just replace that instead of this here broken one, because when you actually flex it you can hear the glue I put on is starting to crack again, so we'll just replace that. Just going to put a duct tape on just to hold back this cable, maybe just to tighten up the handle. Stick this out, make it easier to work on. So it just detaches. It's easier to transport, easier for me. So I'll replace this in a wee minute. And just leave the light off because it's going to do us no good here today. It's just shining down here and not where we want it. So these things are a big expensive machine for sanding floors. It's a big motor, big aluminium body. And it's running this big drum here. As you see, there's a rubber pad on it. You wrap a sheet of sandpaper around this and clamp it down on this here bar, and that just spins and sands the floor. Great machine and does the job, and they're actually very easy to work on, even though they are quite expensive. And the parts aren't all that bad either. To get to the brushes, just got 3 screws. One there, and 2 here. Like I said, I had this on already. It's for a local customer. I was only on for the lead, like I was saying, but then once you got it going, then you see the sparks coming from here. When they start sparking like this, that's just a sign the brushes are worn out. Get the light on again so we can see a bit better. So down in here's your brushes. So this is one of them here, and your lead going on, and this here's your spring pushing down on the brush onto the armature. Now, inside of these there's actually 4 brushes, not 2. That's a big motor and they're big long brushes. You can't really use anything else. They're too big and too thin, nothing really else fits. So you really have to get the Hiretech one. The only things you're going to use is something way too big, which is actually going to cost more to actually buy in. So Hiretech brushes, they're not actually all that expensive, and they're not hard to get out either. So we'll turn her this way so we can see better. So So this here pattern is actually not just aesthetics, this is just for helping you line everything up again. Whenever you're putting this plate back on, these actually match in, so your plate's going on in the right orientation. And it's all well thought out to help you change these two, because obviously you can only get to this brush here on the top, you can't get to the rest. You have to take this plate off to access the whole brush holder. But luckily enough, Hiretech did put the effort into designing these things and made it a lot easier to actually get this plate off. Just like your rear brakes on a car, the drum brakes, you take out the screws and put two of them back in over here and use the screws to screw on and pull this plate out. Before we take that out, I just want to loosen these as well. These hold on the brush holder inside. Just take them off for now, just because it's easier. Just in case they're tight, you don't have to just hold the plate and pull off the brush ring. Take it off now so it comes off separately. Take these out. Put two back in. As you screw these on, that pulls off this plate. The plate's actually attached onto the armature. This is actually centers your armature as well. The bearings press onto this plate. That's set onto this here brass insert. Do a bit of a clean too. It's full of dust. It's a good job it's a rubber seal on this thing. Now, that's not the best either. I might see about changing that. But on here is your whole brush holder. That should just pull out. Well, should. She's a bit tight there, mind you. This one's okay, but that one's not. And she's got a wee location pin on here as well. So the pin goes onto here, and that's what that's all the little screw holes for. So we screw here. That's actually just centering the brush holder here, so it's all sitting in the right orientation. I have to get this lead off to get this out. Can I get any slack on that? Now, that's a bit better. Not the best of camera angles here, but I just have to work with it. This is the problem here. Your brushes are just worn out, and you can tell, especially by this one here. Look. See the way it's all burnt at the front? Actually, they're all fairly burnt at the front. That's because they're not making actual contact with the armature anymore. They're just a slight gap. That's what all the sparking's about. They're a nice big, thick, heavy brush, but they're not the longest, so you're not getting a massive amount of runtime out of these things. I have to clean that holder as well because it's a little bit stiff. They don't wear all the way down. The spring only goes so far, and the springs themselves are separate. They actually come off from the brush holder, so these clip on. This little coil spring here is what's pushing down. So it's fine when it's at the top, but once it wears down so far, that's as far as the wee coil spring goes to. So this is just fixed, and that's where she stops. So it doesn't go the whole way down. So when they wear out, they start sparking, and if you see sparking coming from them, get them changed, because otherwise you're just heating it up and burning the armature. I might just change that there bearing too, because that's starting to get a bit rough. It's not on for that, but as soon as we're at this end, we may as well change it. So first thing is to take out these wee springs. Now these are separate from the brushes. There's two, another one must have fallen off. So when you're changing your brushes, they just come with the brush only, not the springs. So It's handy that they're separate because it means you can set these all in without the springs pushing down, so it's easier to actually set them on top of the armature. Pull all these out. See, we want stuff. I'm going to give these holders a wee bit of a file too. These are a proper industrial machine. Wee small needle files all you need just to tidy these up. It's normally just sawdust that binds up on them and causes them to stick. Just make sure they're free enough. And this is the type of thing you go out to a hire shop and hire out to sand your wooden floors if you're redoing them or revarnishing them or something. They are extremely hard wearing. And they last years. I mean, the whole body of it is just solid aluminium. They're very well made. They're a nice simple design, but they're well made. Hire shops like them because they're easy to use, easy to set up. There's not much explaining on them, but they're also easy to maintain. So changing bearings and brushes and things like this, very easy to do on this thing. I'm just going to take this outside and give it a wee blow down now. Now, that's it a little bit cleaner at least. That's that ready. Now we just need brushes. This arrived on a few days ago, but I'm only getting a chance to fit it now. This here is actually the cover for the switch. Not a bad price, €27 plus the VAT. Now that's that bit. Comes with the seal as well. Fit that in a wee while. Where to put the brushes now. Yeah, 2 sets of these on, one for spare as well. €28 plus the VAT for these here. Don't know if there's a part number on it or there it is there, yeah. 39623. Come with the screws and all, but they don't come with the brush springs, so do be careful. If you lose one of these here, you'll have to order them as well, and they'll probably cost just as much as the brushes. Before we fit them, I'm just going to replace this here bearing. This one's handy enough to change. The other one, you have to strip apart the whole back of the machine. It's a wee bit more tricky. Now this one is a 6203. Now I'm not stripping apart the whole machine, just to change one bearing. So I'm going to fit this here the poor man's way. Plus, if I actually take this armature out, I don't even think it'll actually fit on my bearing press anyway. So tap it on gently, square it up, get something that fits over the shaft and fits the inside race, and then just gently tap it on. It's a fairly tough machine, like I said, it's all metal back here. If you're gentle, this should just go on. A lot of people have been giving out about that, but what can you do? It's quicker and it's easier than stripping the whole thing apart. Plus, it's just a wee aluminium piston I'm using. This is just all aluminium. If that takes any stress, it'll actually just buckle back here. Doesn't take a lot of force to change it. Now that changed, I'll just get these on. With them filed now, they can move nice and free. They also come with new wee washers, wee grip washers, and a new screw. So it's all afresh. Obviously, if I fit it like that, it's not correct. So make sure your lead is pulled in tight and facing the brush. So it has all the slack to move down. The end of the actual eyelet is that close to the brush shoulder. If you set it down wrong, the cable can kink down here and can't get up. So it can actually pinch down like this, and it'll not allow the brush to move that much. It'll run to begin with. Within a few weeks or a few months, depending on how much use you're getting out of it, the brush will wear. This will move down, but then it'll be jammed here. The brush won't go down any further. So make sure it can go the whole way to the bottom. It's completely free to move. And fit it up in this top ring. This is actually a different thread. This top one's for the brush. The bottom one's for the lead going to the motor. Sweeten them up right. Now, they're all still slack, free to move, but they're slack enough to go back over the armature. Now, before we fit the brush holder onto this plate, we don't put this on now, but put it on after. We get this onto the armature first, get it in position, because we have to get the brush springs on when this is still all open, because you can't get the bottom brush springs down here. You can only get up here. So you can put this on, that's why it has this big long lead, and you can move it all the way around to fit all the brush springs. Then you can put it back into position and get this lead on, and then put your plate onto your armature. But just make sure you have it in the right position. So you've got 4 brush holders, but only 2 of them are wired in. So one motor lead goes onto here, then also feeds this lead over this side, and the other leads go onto this one, which also connects to this one. So you just need to make sure it's back in roughly this position to get this wire onto here. So I pull all these up. And get the brush in, get the holder in. That on there. Just watch this wire for now. A very awkward thing to have on the bench to do a video on. The actual brush springs, then they just push down, so they slide down and then clip on at the top. They're well easy to fit. So I have the brush, the wee coil spring, go down on top of the brush, push it down, and then it just clips on, and you can rotate, do the the same thing again. Terrible angle to be working at on this here camera. Your lead then, when you're finished, you can just tuck up on here because it's a very long lead. Just let it slide on here to the back of the field so it's not on the way. Now we can get this other wire fitted. Now we can go and fit this. First, take out these other screws. And get your right orientation. Just remember, these lines actually do mean something. You have to line up to the body again. So that's telling you where your plate should be sitting. And it shows you where this here brush holder should be sitting. Just going to have that lead sitting up so we toss around a wee bit better. That's better now. Just gently push it on. Take a note where this here screw is going. Should thread on to the brush holder. So if we move this plate, you actually move the brush holder too. Just make sure they're connected up. And rotate it around to these lines, and that lines up the holes. Because you have the screw and the brush holder and the pin on the other side, the brush holder will automatically line up to these here. I have done a video on this before, on a longer video, and then posted separately on its own. So if you ever want to be able to change the armature in one of these, I've done a whole video on stripping the whole thing down, changing all the bearings and replacing the armature with a new one, and changing the field as well. Plus putting these here brush holders and rebuilding the whole thing too. But it wasn't a very good video. Don't think I'd done very good in the views either. That was way back, probably about 2 years ago now, and wasn't as good at the videos then. It was a wee bit all over the place, but it's also an awkward machine to work on. I know this one's also a bit all over the place. They're difficult to actually get on video, especially when you just have the camera set up in one place and you're trying not to get in the way of it. But if you want to see another video on them, how to strip the whole thing down and replace the motor, you can check out that video. If you just type in Hiretech Repair, it should come up on YouTube. If you are working on them, be careful you don't lose anything, because even all the screws and the bolts are generally a different thread. They're an Imperial. So if you lose anything, you're going to have to order it on, or else go searching. But that's it. That's the brushes changed and one new bearing, just because we were at it anyway. Let's cover it back on again. We'll change the cover on the switch. Now this, like I'm saying, I'm only just changing this because I had to order the brushes anyway. I wouldn't normally order this in, and it wasn't all that expensive. The man just had this here tipped on with duct tape. So may as well just change it and leave it right. Cover is just a cover, it doesn't have everything in it. This wee piece of silicone rubber is actually separate. So we have to pull that out and keep the screws. There's the new cover, the spare brushes, new screws, and a little gasket seal. It's just for keeping the dust out of it. Put this the right way around. There's an on and an off symbol. Actually heading the right way. Actually they can only go on one way anyway. Look. This has a flat side and a tapered side, so it can only go that way. That then. Last thing is just a wee seal, which is just a very big O-ring. It's just for keeping the dust out of the switch is all. And to stabilise it as well, I would imagine. Because there's plenty of other places the dust can get on here. That's a tight fit. But it does actually fit on. Big enough groove, it holds itself in when you actually get it on. But you can see where they send that separate. Give you the heartache of fitting that. It's just a little bit big, a little bit smaller than the diameter, so to either stretch that out before you try fitting it, or drop a few wee drops of single wee tiny speck of super glue into the corners and set them on just to hold that in place. It's fine, I'd say, once it's actually installed though. Now, the plate itself, can't fit it wrong because there's a bolt up here for the handle, so this side won't fit. Has to be this way, so the writing looks upside down, but it's the right way around when you're standing at the machine. It's facing you correctly then. Now, just in case anybody wants to see how this thing's wired, like I said, I did have to wire this back in again, just in case somebody actually accidentally yanks out all the wires. Two light ones go from the live and neutral up onto here. Your live and neutral is just going over this side. It's just an industrial switch in this thing, and your live and neutral coming down this side. It's just a big industrial switch. It's well easily wired on. There's nothing to them. Because it's a big industrial switch, it's no small fidgety thing. It's built for work. It's more industrial, more robust. Should be a lot harder for it to fail. Somebody's having a bad day on the label machine anyway. That's not exactly fitted right. It's a big heavy label, but They've completely messed it up here, look. Not that it matters, it's only a label. That's it. That is how you change the brushes on a big Hiretech HT8 floor drum sander. Now, she should run a lot better now without any sparking. That's her. Up and running again. That's the lead tidied up, new brushes and one new bearing as well. That's it, folks. That's a Hiretech floor sander up and running. That is how you change the brushes on them if you ever need to. Actually, how to change the brushes and the switch cover. But a great machine and well worth doing if you ever need to change them. If you see them sparking, get them changed before they do damage to the armature, because if you leave it for too long, you can end up damaging that armature from the sparking. But that's it. She's up and running now. The lead's fixed up. She's starting, she's running, and now she's not sparking anymore now. So this man will get plenty more use out of this thing. Anyway, folks, as always, thanks for watching. If you're enjoying the videos, make sure to give us a wee like down the bottom, and don't forget to hit that follow button there as well. But till next time, folks, I'll chat to you later.